Guys, it's Sunday. It has been a little while since I've given you a garden update, but I'm going to take you on a quick tour. It's a little messy because things are kind of in transition from, covering things overnight to now you can see we're clearly in the 60s most evenings. So it is a little messy, but I wanted to kind of give you a couple shots of what's happening because there's a lot of stuff going on. So these were some of the peas that I started in the greenhouse, and as you can see here, some of those little pea sprouts are starting. They do flower, and then there'll be a pea pod that comes off of each one of those flowers. The oxheart carrots are looking good. These are going to be big, meaty carrots here. I've got, as of today, I'll have pretty much everything in the garden planted with the exception of my second season of potatoes. They should arrive tomorrow. Then I'm going to chit those like I did earlier this spring, and then they will be planted out the first part of June, the first week of June. But I've got some zucchini here, and I actually did do a lot of my squash from transplants. In the same bed as zucchini here, I have some bean sprouts that are just starting to come up, doing a lot of different kinds of beans too. So the thing with any type of a squash family, they are not easy to transplant. So I'll just address a couple things like questions that people have asked me, but they are not easy to transplant because they, first of all, they do have a taproot that goes all the way down. Most zucchini, like a watermelon, is in the Cucurbita family. So if that taproot gets disturbed, it can kill the plant. They also don't like to have their roots disturbed at all. So if by the time you are transplanting, the roots have started to coil around the bottom of their container, they're probably not going to transplant very well. Now, I know that you will see, especially cucumbers. I think cucumbers are probably the most common, probably some zucchini too. You'll see them at the garden centers, and you can grab them as transplants. The smaller they are, the better they'll transplant, first of all. So don't get them too late in the season. But they also grow really, really fast from seeds, so transplanting them is not necessary. Most of what I'm doing this year is kind of an experiment to see. I'm planting seeds next to my transplants, and I'm going to see how many of the seeds just catch up to what I would have otherwise transplanted, starting inside, under grow lights, all of that time and attention, hardening them off, all of that. I want to see if it's any faster and if I get fruit any faster. So that's the bed there. I do expect quite a bit more beans to come up here, and then those zucchini should be taken off. My patio tomatoes, I actually have a couple first blossoms setting there. And then I've got borage in the middle and calendula tucked in pretty much everywhere. And then here's one of the really exciting things. I actually just saw this little guy this morning inside of that broccoli head. If you can see that. Where is it? Ah, there we go. Inside right there. That is a first broccoli head. So that's exciting. I've got quite a few broccoli here that are going to head up, and I think the temperatures for the next 2 to 3 weeks or so are going to be pretty much perfect for the broccoli, so that'll be good. Planting out some of my peppers here, and then I have just been harvesting radishes pretty much like crazy. We've been harvesting so many radishes. I do have a little bit of bug damage here on some of the brassicas. Now this is a cauliflower, and when I look under the leaves, I actually don't see any active insects, so I'm not entirely sure, but I did spread some of the green lacewing larvae. I spread them around in here, and that might account for why I don't see any active insects in those beds. My romaine here is still big. We have been harvesting this like crazy, eating a ton of salads, but as you can see, it's just growing out of control, so that is good. My loofah did survive the frosts, and it is reattaching itself here to the trellis. I pulled it down, but it's also setting some blossoms. That's exciting. Anything in the squash, cucumber-like family, they set both male and female blossoms. So they pollinate themselves with the assistance of pollinators. Everything they have or everything they need is within the plant, but they have to have pollinators to carry that pollen from the male flowers to the female flowers, which ultimately make the fruit of the plant. Just fun fact there. My peas here are looking good. These are the Lincoln Homestead peas, and seeing quite a bit of blossoming on those, so that's exciting too. The onions are getting huge. I've got some kohlrabi here, garlic there too. Brussels sprouts over here should be getting quite a bit larger, I would hope. And then I've started my cucumbers right here in this row, as you can see. And actually I need to plant a couple more cucumbers because we're gonna be a little bit shy on cucumbers if I don't. And Neil will kill me if we're shy on cucumbers because that's pickles. Pickles, pickles, pickles. So here's what I mean by transplant shock on watermelons or squashes. These bottom leaves will be absorbed back, the nutrition will be absorbed back into the plant. So these are the first two seedling leaves. Gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head what they're called. It starts with a C. But ultimately, these leaves are frying down. I had 3 plants here, and I lost one to transplant shock, and it was just quite a bit bigger than these two are, which is why it really didn't make it. The roots suffered a lot when I transplanted it, and so you just lose them sometimes. The tomato rows here are looking really good, looking lovely, and getting excited about those. I can see actually from here, I'm going to take you over there. I can see from here that I have blossoms setting on these guys. And truth be told, so here's just a teeny tiny bit of what frost damage looks like on the foliage of your plants. Because again, these guys did survive that frost. But these blossoms are totally fine. And it looks like we're gonna have quite a few even going here pretty soon. Now they do say to pinch back the first set of blossoms that you see on your tomatoes, and I already have on all of these guys. So I'm excited to see that they have so much blossom set right now. Not to say that we'll be any faster to fruit set, because temperature does matter when you're maturing your tomatoes, when your fruiting happens, but at least it's there, they're thriving. Under this first trellis, and there's hardly anything to see right now, they're right here. So under this first trellis will be cantaloupe that'll be climbing on top. The second trellis in the walkway is some cucumbers right here. So that's really exciting to see that those are coming up. Oh, child left a rake. Okay. That's good. As we come around here, the potatoes are looking really good. Now we do have 3 different varieties of potatoes here, which accounts for why the growth habit looks so significantly different. I mean, these guys are really tall. Those guys are just a little bit squattier. And then the purple magic tomato or potatoes over here, that'll be a really small plant for quite a while still. Over here, I've got some pumpkins. And these pumpkins actually did survive the frost with cover. These lower leaves don't look great. I think since, it got cold, it's probably unhappy about that. But the new growth coming off the top looks totally fine. So I'm thinking that those will pull through. Everything should be great there. It's not necessary not necessary to start those types of plants inside. I want to see if I can get them grown to maturity and harvestable any sooner, just because it's an experiment. It's just something fun to try, and why not, right? So then the next part of the garden that I'm going to show you real quick is some more pumpkins. This one's a lot smaller, and they were actually all started at the same time. So that's really interesting to see that difference. And then I've got some butternut squashes here. Everything's looking pretty good. I am mulching with cut grass. We started with straw mulch. We do have wood mulch in the walkways. but we're doing cut grass on top just because we use the resources that we have available. And as long as it's organic types of material, it's going to break down in the soil. And the main purpose is to keep your soil covered. I've heard it said before that the earth is like a lady, and if you don't cover her, she will cover herself. And that's generally in weeds, so you don't want that. So go ahead and cover your soil with whatever really that you have. Got some sugar baby watermelons here, just coming up. And then on this side, I've got my peppers. I'm planting these out today. Like I said, now that it's gonna be, you know, in the 60s at night, the peppers should do pretty well. Going into tomatoes over there. And then the very last thing that I was gonna show you is some watermelon. And everybody kind of underestimates watermelon. The trails for the watermelon will really take over. And so I wanted to show you kind of how much space I'm gonna give some of my watermelon this year. And we'll see if it fills in or not. So this is my Carolina Cross watermelon. It's supposed to be a huge variety, and I'm giving it the whole 20-foot run all the way to that archway. So we'll see how much it fills in. I'm not sure that it'll take the whole way, and if come, you know, maybe mid-July, it's not filling in all the way over there, I'll just plant something a little closer to the trellis to fill in the space. Right here, I've got some Crimson Sweet watermelons. So I just got my little markers throughout. So today, the remaining areas of the garden will be filled in. I'm going to plant in some more beans. I'm going to put out the rest of the peppers that I have, and just kind of wait and see what else comes up. My corn is sprouting over here. You can see the tall guys, not the grass that's mulch or straw grass, but actual corn. Strawberries are looking good. And I actually have another blossom and the first strawberry fruit set right there. Exciting. A little bit of lavender, some zinnias, and then some mint. I do have quite a bit of herbs going, so I'm excited to see that. I believe right here, these are dahlias. I'm going to have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I put right there. So don't quote me on it, and if it looks like a weed, let me know, but I'm pretty sure those are dahlias. Oh man, we have a giant spider that lives in this back corner. I mean, I'm talking like a giant spider. I've been seeing him out there all day, same corner, and he's actually been, I think, clearing off a lot of these asparagus beetles. So here's another instance where just because you don't like the creature, because nobody really likes spiders, they could be tremendously beneficial to your garden. Like garter snakes, big spiders, bats, birds in a lot of ways. They can all be tremendously beneficial to your garden by taking that pest pressure way down. So even though this spider looks terrifying, like this guy is huge, I'm gonna let him chill unless he causes a problem to me or, you know, tries to run away with one of my children. I'm gonna let him go. All right, guys, so that's the quick tour for the day. A little bit longer video than normal. I'll go ahead and post it over to YouTube. That way you can watch it there. Have a good one, guys. Bye.